I admire your luck, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
At the time, they were dependent on solar power, and it was believed that they would be unable to survive without an energy source as abundant as the sun. Throughout human history, we have been dependent on machines to survive. Fate, it seems, is not without a sense of irony.
In today's discussion, we will delve into additional literary devices that can enhance our story writing prompts. By incorporating these terms in our prompts, we can guide ChatGPT in generating dialogues, descriptions, or various story elements more effectively. Familiarizing ourselves with less common literary terms such as anadiplosis, diacope, solipsis, and personification can provide writers with a competitive edge. Using these devices with precision allows for greater control over ChatGPT's generated content. Diacope is a figure of speech in which a word or phrase is repeated with a small number of intervening words. This literary device is a repetition of a phrase or word broken up by other intervening words. Here's an example of diacope. "We will do it, I tell you, we will do it," by William Faulkner.
Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
Solipsis is a figure of speech in which a word is applied to two others in different senses, or to two others of which it grammatically suits only one. In other words, a single word is used in two different ways in relation to different parts of a sentence. This creates a play on words or a pun that can be humorous or clever. An example of solipsis is the sentence, "He lost his coat and his temper," where lost is used in two different senses, physically misplaced and emotionally agitated, with coat and temper, respectively. Another example is, "You are free to execute your laws and your citizens as you see fit," by William Burroughs. And yet another example from the Rolling Stones is, "She blew my nose and then she blew my mind." Personification is a figure of speech in which human qualities are attributed to non-human things or abstractions. It can also be a representation of a thing or an abstraction by a person or a human action. For example, "The wind whispered through the trees" is an example of personification because the wind is given the human quality of whispering. And when Morpheus projects the human sense of irony onto the abstract concept of fate, it's best to use these devices sparingly and target them to lines that you want to emphasize. Let's see how we can improve a description with the help of our AI assistant. Rewrite the following using personification to show the force of the cold wind. "The wind blew across the land, stinging his cheeks and numbing his hands."
The cold wind roared across the land, whipping its icy fingers against his cheeks and seizing his hands in a frigid grip, as if determined to freeze him to the bone.
Much better. I can almost feel the icy grip of the wind, and the personification of the wind makes it more personal to the reader. We're geared to pay more attention to other people than we are to inanimate or unthinking objects. So, portraying the wind as a person makes it more noteworthy to the primitive side of our brain. We can prompt GPT to give us ideas to use by giving it examples of what we're looking for in a rewrite, along with the specific term for the literary device we want to use. This will increase the accuracy of GPT's response. We'll give it the following prompt. These are examples of solipsis. "He lost his coat and his temper," and "You are free to execute your laws and your citizens as you see fit." Rewrite the following using solipsis. "The old man didn't mind getting weaker with age, but losing his mental abilities troubled him to no end. He felt himself diminishing daily."
The old man didn't mind his muscles and mind diminishing with age, but the latter troubled him to no end.
Next time you watch Star Wars, listen to Yoda and how the writers used a preponderance of anadiplosis to give him his distinctive way of speaking. Now that you're aware of these devices, you can incorporate them in your writing as well. I hope that you've enjoyed this review of literary terms and found it helpful.
Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. You must unlearn what you have learned.